Greetings, fellow Warhammer fans. Today, I want to go through a legion I missed for a long time. A legion pushed to the side of many discussions, only talked about by people already interested. Or it would be, if it wasn't for a trilogy written by Adam Dembski-Bowden. I am of course talking about the Night Lords, the supreme masters of terror in a group of shock troops. They suffer from something I like to call over-characterization, where their one known trait keep being pushed as the only trait they possess. In most stories, Night Lords are secondary characters or antagonists, something to be overcome or try to convince to work with you. Often depicted with the sole focus on torturing as many humans as possible for the simple reason that they enjoy it. While this isn't a false depiction, it leaves much to be desired for them. These traitors who do not fight for chaos but against the Emperor in person. A legion who rejects the Dark Pantheon and is known for the purity of their gene seed despite 10 millennia since they turned. While these stories exist, many focuses on the fractured mind of their Primarch, Conrad Curse, a man who destroyed his whole adopted planet after it reverted to violence. A man who his brothers is known as the weak or insane one. The one who named himself Night Haunter because the light of the Emperor hurt him after decades on a sunless world. He is not our focus for today. I want to focus on a lesser talked about theme that could fit on many traitor legions, but that the Night Lord embodies in this trilogy. The tragedy of being forgotten by those you keep fighting against, losing your identity to the masses of a galaxy-spanning conflict that has raged since the Great Betrayal. In the books Soul Hunter, Blood Reaver, and Void Stalker, we follow Talos as the main character, a Night Lord apothecary now in charge of his own squad within the warband. Talos has a special trait passed from his Primarch, Foresight. While imperfect, it marks him as unique amongst the others. This power, however, is less relevant to our discussion today. I want to focus on the steps he takes to fight against the decline of his legion, the personal war he fights to keep their identity alive, and remind any and all who they were and still are. During the Great Crusade, Horus betrayed the Emperor and joined forces with the Chaos Gods. Half the legions joined him, some being swayed to the side of Chaos, and some who simply wanted to tear the Emperor off his golden throne. The Night Lords were part of the second of these two, never fitting in with the rest of the legions, due to their special approach to war. It was better to torture one city and broadcast it to the planet, showing what defiance would lead to, than a grinding war of attrition. After the siege of Terra failed, the Night Lords returned to their homeworld of Segwelsa, remaining mostly cohesive despite the death of their Primarch and losing the war. This lasted until the Fortress Monastery was destroyed by loyal forces of the Imperium, shattering any form of unity the Legion still had, and causing it to devolve into scattered warbands who swore allegiance to separate warlords. After hiding in the Great Eye for most of the 10 millennia since the betrayal, time has not passed the same for them. To them it has been a few centuries of war, while the Imperium has forgotten over time. To the Imperium, they are just one of countless traitor warbands, still trying to fight the war they lost millennia ago. Here, I want to call attention to the moments where this struggle is given the most focus, and how it affects Talos. A lot happens between them, and some context might be missing, but the important part is the reactions Talos gives, as well as how they can come to shape his future actions. The leader of the warband is known as the Exalted, formerly Vandred. The entire host of Night Lords can sense that he is different. The deal he made with the Dark Pantheon has warped his mind. He plans to join Abaddon in preparation for the next Black Crusade. Talos is against this idea. Despite holding no formal authority, he is looked up to by the rest of the Night Lords on board due to two facts. He has the Primarch's gift of foresight and a title given to him by Curse himself, Soul Hunter. The influence he has from it is seen as a problem by the Exalted, and it explains some actions taken later. For now it is important because when Talos argues against joining the Despoiler as another pawn in his game, the others listen to him. They even agree with his reasoning that they are better than simply standing with some pawn of the Chaos Gods. While little comes of his arguing, it gives us the first glimpse of the superiority he and the Legion feels over the rest. They choose to fight the Imperium for their own reasons, not as puppets. Joining Abaddon in his assault of a Mechanicus bastion, Talos finds himself fighting a frontline assault against Skitarii, mechanized warriors who cannot feel fear and therefore can't break and flee. For a legion specialized in causing terror, this is not an ideal situation. Talos points this out numerous times, insulted due to the fact that they are used as any other nameless warband when they were ancient warriors who fought during the Black Crusade. It is clear that Abaddon does not see them as equals to his Black Legion, for reasons not elaborated on. They are just another piece on the board in his grand game for the galaxy. Something that once again is seen as an insult, when they could have been utilized in a far more effective manner. Talos is invited to Abaddon's flagship, a request that he is not able to deny. Many things happen during the meeting, but a few stand out. The first is Talos being confronted by a former member of his own warband, a Psyker who has joined the Black Legion. To Talos, this is a betrayal of brotherhood despite being on the same side in the long war. The insult to the Legion hard to overlook. The other is that Abaddon offers Talos a place within his own council, his foresight making him a valued asset that deserves respect. To attempt this, Abaddon induces an unconscious state of hallucinations of the four gods offering their gifts to Talos. Talos refuses, seeing it as a shameful way to taint his pure gift of genetics with the foul corruption of the warp, again pointing out that they are not the same. Abaddon's legion is filled with zealots and not warriors in Talos' eyes. Lastly, there is a moment where Talos remembers Horus, the true War Master and chosen of Chaos, explaining that if the Primarch lauded as the greatest of them all could not win with the forces of Chaos, then Abaddon has no chance either. During the battle, Talos has a vision. The Imperial Navy is coming to strike back against the War Master's fleet. Warning the others and the Exalted, Talos returns with his squad to orbit, and they decide to flee. No love is lost between the allies in this conflict, clearly, and abandoning Abaddon despite the consequences it could bring to save themselves proves once again the feeling of superiority the Night Lords have, valuing themselves over all others regardless of sides. Another important moment in leaving is that another Night Lord warband is also present in the fleet. The Exalted makes a considerable effort to convince the other captain to leave with them, and even covers their retreat. This is interesting because the Night Lords suddenly care about the fate of another warband, something they have never done before in this book. Their ship damaged, and with no allies in the region, they make the decision to head towards the Maelstrom, hoping that Huron Blackheart can be traded with in this time of need. While still early in the arc, we can see how superior the Night Lords consider themselves compared to other traitors. Talos is quick to consider insults and barbs against him and his legion, while seeing any turn to the ruinous powers as cowardly and treasonous. At the same time, he reminisces about the times before the heresy, when the mention of the Night Lords was enough to frighten the worlds into compliance, their reputation enough to ensure that resistance died. This leaves us with a good understanding before the next book, Blood Reaver, and where this pride Talos carries for his legion will continue.